You send a text message to your partner. It is a simple message, perhaps a question about dinner or a funny observation. You see the status change to delivered. You might even see the typing bubbles appear for a fleeting second and then vanish. You wait. 5 minutes pass, then 20, then an hour. Logically, you know they are at work. You know they might be driving or in a meeting or simply away from their phone, but your body does not respond to logic. Your body responds to a perceived threat that feels life-altering. For the anxious brain, the statement, "I am busy," sounds exactly like, "I am leaving." When there is a gap in communication, you do not just experience a delay, you experience a void. In that silence, your mind begins to fill in the blanks with your worst fears. You might convince yourself they are angry with you. You might imagine they have realized they do not love you anymore. You might feel a physical tightness in your chest, a drop in your stomach, or a sudden inability to focus on your own tasks. This reaction is not a sign that you are crazy or clingy. It is a sign that you may be struggling with a psychological concept known as emotional object constancy. This is the ability to maintain a sense of emotional connection with someone even when they are not physically present or when they are not actively reassuring you. It is the ability to hold a warm, loving image of a person in your mind, even when there is distance or conflict between you. To understand why this is so difficult for some of us, we have to look at how human beings develop. The concept of object permanence was famously described by developmental psychologists like Jean Piaget. It refers to a baby's ability to understand that an object still exists even when it is hidden under a blanket. Before a certain age, if you hide a toy, the baby thinks it has vanished from the universe. Eventually, the baby learns that the toy is still there, even if they cannot see it. Emotional object constancy is the adult relational version of this. It is the deep, internalized knowing that your partner's love exists, even when they are not looking at you. It is the certainty that their care for you continues, even when they are silent, angry, or traveling. If you grew up in an environment where care was inconsistent, you may not have fully developed this internal anchor. If your caregivers were only available when they were happy, or if they withdrew love as a punishment, your brain learned a terrifying lesson. It learned that out of sight often meant out of mind, or out of love. For the adult with this struggle, silence is not neutral. Silence is a trigger. When the external feedback loop cuts off, the internal sense of safety collapses. You rely on the text message, the smile, or the touch to verify that you are safe. When those external signals stop, you feel as though you are free-falling. You might feel like you cease to exist in their mind because you cannot feel them in yours. This leads to a phenomenon known as the catastrophic thinking loop. It usually begins with a small trigger, like a delayed response or a slightly shorter tone in a message. Your brain, hyper-vigilant for signs of abandonment, latches onto this signal. It bypasses the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic and reasoning. Instead, it activates the amygdala, the fear center. You immediately begin to project past abandonment onto the current moment. This is a crucial distinction to make. You are likely not reacting to your partner's silence today. You are reacting to the silence of a parent 10, 20, or 30 years ago. You are reacting to the time a previous partner ghosted you without warning. The silence acts as a time machine, transporting you back to a moment of helplessness. In this state, the urgency to fix the silence becomes overwhelming. You might feel a compulsion to double text. You might ask, "Are we okay?" or "Did I do something wrong?" You might call them, needing to hear their voice just to lower your own heart rate. This is not necessarily about connecting with them. It is about regulating your own anxiety. You are using them as an external regulator because you cannot find the safety button inside yourself. Conversely, some people react to this lack of object constancy with preemptive aggression. If you feel the silence is a sign they are pulling away, you might decide to pull away first. You might ignore them when they finally do reach out, just to punish them. You might think, "If you are going to make me wait, I will make you wait." This is a defense mechanism designed to regain a sense of control. It turns the vulnerability of waiting into the power of rejecting. The tragedy of this dynamic is that it often creates the very distance you fear. If you constantly require reassurance to believe the relationship exists, it can exhaust a partner who does not share this wound. They may feel micromanaged or distrusted. They might withdraw further to get a sense of autonomy, which then triggers more panic in you. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It is important to realize that for a secure partner, silence is just silence. It is not a coded message. A secure brain assumes the bond is intact until told otherwise. A secure brain can hold the memory of love and use it to self-soothe during the gaps. They can say to themselves, "They are busy, but they love me. We will talk later." The person lacking object constancy cannot access that soothing voice. They are left alone in a cold, empty room of their own making. So, how do we build this capacity in adulthood? How do we learn to trust the bond when we cannot see it? The first step is to recognize that the panic is an internal event, not an external reality. When you feel the anxiety rising, you must pause. You must stop the urge to act on the feeling. Do not send the text. Do not make the call. Do not check their social media to see if they are online. Instead, turn your attention inward. Notice where the fear lives in your body. Is it a knot in your stomach? Is it a vibration in your hands? Acknowledge it. You can say to yourself, "I am feeling young right now. I am feeling the fear of being left." By naming it, you separate the feeling from the fact. You acknowledge that the feeling is real, but it does not mean the abandonment is happening. We must also practice fact-checking. This is a cognitive strategy to counter the catastrophic narrative. When your brain says, "They haven't replied because they are losing interest," you offer a counter-argument based on evidence. You might say, "They texted me good morning today. They made plans with me for the weekend. They have a stressful job." You are acting as your own attorney, presenting evidence of the relationship's existence. You are manually doing the work that your nervous system cannot yet do automatically. You are building the bridge of continuity that was missing in your childhood. Another powerful practice is to develop a transition object or a mental image. In child psychology, a transition object is something like a teddy bear or a blanket that smells like home. It comforts the child when the parent is away. As adults, we can use symbols. It might be a photo of the two of you where you look happy and connected. When you feel the panic of silence, look at the photo. Remind yourself that the version of them in the photo is the real them. The silence is just a pause. You are using the visual aid to help your brain hold on to the reality of the connection. You are training your mind to remember warmth in the midst of the cold. We also need to reframe our relationship with independence. Often, people with low object constancy view time apart as a punishment. We need to start viewing it as a practice ground. Every time you successfully navigate a period of silence without spiraling, you build a muscle. You prove to yourself that you can survive the gap. You prove to yourself that you do not evaporate when you are not being perceived. You exist. Your worth is solid. Your life has meaning outside of the relationship. The more you cultivate your own garden, your hobbies, your friendships, your work, the less terrifying the silence becomes. You have other places to stand. You are not balanced on a single leg that might be kicked out from under you. There's a specific phrase you can use as a mantra during these moments. No news is just no news. It is simple but effective. In a trauma response, no news is bad news. In a secure reality, no news is neutral. Repeat it to yourself. Silence is just silence. It is not a breakup. It is not a punishment. It is just time passing. It is also helpful to have a conversation with your partner about this, but only when you are calm. Do not try to explain object constancy in the middle of a panic attack. Pick a moment when you are connected. You can say, "I am working on something called emotional object constancy. Sometimes, when we don't speak for a while, my brain goes to a bad place. I'm learning to handle it, but it helps me if you can let me know when you'll be offline for a long time." This is not asking them to fix you. It is asking for a reasonable accommodation while you do the work. A loving partner will usually be willing to send a quick, "Swamped at work, talk tonight" text if they know it saves you hours of misery. But the ultimate goal is for you to not need that text to function. The goal is to reach a place where you can enjoy the rhythm of contact and withdrawal. Relationships are like breathing. There is an inhale, connection, and an exhale, separation. If you try to hold the inhale forever, you will suffocate. You have to trust that the next breath is coming. You have to trust that the person who walked away to live their life will turn around and come back. This trust is not blind faith. It is built on the evidence of consistency over time. But you cannot see the consistency if you are constantly testing the bond. If you pull on a plant to see if the roots are holding, you will eventually uproot it. You have to let it sit in the soil. You have to let the silence be the soil where the trust grows. Remember that developing this skill takes time. You are rewiring neural pathways that have been established for decades. Be patient with yourself. If you slip up and send the anxious text, do not shame yourself. Just notice it. Okay, I got scared. I reached out for safety. Next time, I will try to sit with the fear for 5 more minutes. Every minute you can sit with the silence without trying to fix it is a victory. You are teaching your body a new truth. You are teaching it that you are safe in your own presence. You are learning that you carry the love inside you. It is not something you have to rent from someone else every hour. It is yours. Eventually, the silence changes. It stops feeling like an empty void and starts feeling like open space. It becomes a place where you can rest, think, and be yourself. You realize that you are still connected to the people you love, even in the quiet. The invisible string is there. You just had to learn how to feel it without seeing it. Emotional object constancy is the bedrock of mature love. It allows two people to be separate individuals without the relationship breaking. It allows for travel, for busy careers, for bad moods, and for individual growth. It turns the cage of anxiety into the home of security. And it starts with the simple, brave decision to believe that you are rememberable, even when you are not being reminded.